Okay, good evening, everyone. Without further ado, let's jump into Sipur of the Maisim Chiga. We just bring up share the screen of where we're holding, and let's see what's going on here. Okay, so we said once he came to a grass, Pam Echad Bala Esav Echad, he came to a grass that he hasn't seen a grass like that. Hutov be'ena voisa esav, and he really liked the taste. He liked it. Nechmat shaya oichel zman rav asovim. He was eating grass for a long time. Vaya makir b'hem, and he became a maven in them. V'adayin lo ra esav kazeh, and he has never seen a grass like this before. I think that we mentioned at least once before that this particular Indian of since he was eating grass for a long time, he became a maven in grasses, and he realized that this particular grass is very different than the other, which makes him decide to pull it out with its root, whereupon he discovers the diamond. And we mentioned that, at least the way that we learned the story, that eating grass is symbolizes the fact that um, we hold ourselves in our Yiddishkeit in any way, shape, or form, because we realize that this is what it takes. This is what it takes in this world. And we also got deeper into the fact that the fact that you don't have, the fact that you lack, the fact that you're embarrassed, that you feel inferior, that you feel like a cripple, is in and on itself. That's the root of the keli, the vessel, to avoid Hashem. But over here, there's something else that he's saying. He said, being that he was eating them for a long time, he became a maven in them. We mentioned at least once before, that the red shirt syndrome. When you ask somebody, close your eyes and say, how many people wear shirts do we have around us? He says, I don't know. So when you open up your eyes, and how many people you can see. He says, okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how come you didn't know before when I asked you? When you saw the street, you saw. How come you didn't know how many people with red shirts are around? Well, the answer is because I wasn't looking for them. When you're looking, when you're getting into the world of eating grass, the world of holding on with whatever it is that you got. And the nakuda that holds you on is the nakuda status. Grass has certain um, properties that can keep you alive. Okay, certain nutrients that can keep you alive, certain calories can keep you alive. Whatever it is, it may be very little. Maybe you need a very strong stomach to be able to digest it, and you need to get into it. You need to get into this is your world, and you understand the difference between one Nakuda Teva and another. And once you do that, you discover that suddenly, within the limitations of your the Nakudas Tavis, you find suddenly something opens up, and there's a whole universe in that Nakuda Teva. And in there's a diamond. And Rabbeinu says that that particular diamond was square. The whole tzadei asgula aches, every side had a different kind of propensity, it was auspicious for something else. So on one side, it was written to anybody who was going to hold that particular side of the diamond. That he would be carried to the place where day and night get together. What does it mean the day and night get together? Then the sun and the moon get together at that particular place. So we have two things. The day and night get together, that the moon and the sun get together. When he yanked out that grass with the root, where the diamond was, it so happened that, in other words, this diamond is not so happened. This diamond means that it was mezumen to him. It was given to him, that he held in that particular site. And before we go into the dialogue of the sun and the moon, let's talk a little bit about this particular inyan of the day and night getting together. What does it mean that the day and night getting together? That the sun and the moon are getting together. On the face of it, it sounds like a fantastic story. You know, if you touch something, you'll be flying, you'll be transported, teleported, whatever, and you'll get to the place where the sun and the moon are getting together, and you're hearing their conversation. Bepashtus, if we don't try to dig too deep, the diamond represents the light of the tzaddik. The tzaddik is Pchinas Even Tov. Rabbeinu says in Torah Kufi Beis that the truth, also Torah Tes, Torah Kufi Beis, that commensurately with the truthfulness of the speech itself is either shining to somebody, or at least if you're not that truthful, your level of truth is not that clean, at least somebody else can shine into you. Somebody can I mean, you yourself are not shining, but somebody who is, you have an opening, you have a window that they can shine to you. And so the dibur, the dibur that shines, that's the dibur, that's the light of the tzaddik. The tzaddik is the Even Tov. He is the one that get to the Ora Emes. We spoke about it in Motzei Shabbos at great length. That without listening to the voice of the tzaddikim, people will go crazy. We will go crazy. We will go crazy. We will, we'll sort of make up, different opinions and or cockamamie theories, and we will just go nuts. And basically, go nuts means waste our lives. There's no greater insanity than wasting your life. And when you build theories, when you don't have the tzaddik to cleanse the koyach hamedame, your imagination, and when you're looking to what is above you, needless to say, to what is beneath you, what you shouldn't look at, it invariably creates a point of view, a universe that that either is aimed at what the tachlis is, to olam haba, or the way we learn Likutei Moharan, to the light of the makif, to the makifin, which is secha b'chinas kedem, or else, you're getting hoodwinked into taking trifles and toys and making, it's like the Indians that sold Manhattan for some beads and stuff, you know and this is the tzaddik is the one that, being miskasher, that the tzaddik holding on to the diamond is discussrous to the tzaddik. And that place, when you're holding on to the diamond, when you're holding on to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik shines his light to you, that the place when the day and night and the sun and the moon get together means that you get to a madrega when you understand. You don't just believe, but you understand that everything that you went through, everything, all the difficulties that you had to plow through in order to get to where you are, everything is from Hashem Yisbarach, and everything is for your own good. The night, obviously, alludes to a situation of a star, when the das doesn't shine, when a person is in the dark, and the only option he has is just to keep himself in the Munah. Tehillim says, at night, when it's night, that's it. Munah is what's holding you. The day, is alluding here to a matzav that the das does shine to you, and you realize that everything that is happening to you is a chesed from Hashem. Lagid b'boiker chesdecha, to say in the morning, to say a chesed. And the fact that the day and night come together, this is the conglomeration, the getting together, the fusion of das and emunah. That the sun will tell the moon, as we'll see later, that Hashem Yisbarach all the time, the das tells the emunah, that Hashem goes with you all the time. Meaning to say that when you are holding on to the tzaddik is lifting you to a high madrega where you are zeichet to understand and to hear that everything that happened is for your good, is for your benefit. And then we said that when you yank the grass, but the grass, this is where the diamond was, and it so happened, or it was given to him, that he held it in that particular side that is propitious to take him, that can take him to the place that the day and the night get together. And he was transported there, and to the place that the day and night get together. As we said before, that when he wanted to know the root of that Esav, the root of the Nekudas Tevis, when he was able to be mechaya himself in the darkness, in the katnas, we spent so many weeks dealing with that. Mishamayim, Mishamayim. They got him to hold on that particular side. That suddenly things will become clear. And we said he stuck and he looked, and there he is in the place where the Chama and the Yerech, the sun and the moon, get together. Because this is an extremely important point. It seems to us that all we ever do is talk about difficulties. All we ever do is talking about chizuk. Like Rabbi Twersky, Zichrono Livracha, he published a book that he published many books, but one of them was called when does the good time start? How long do you have to struggle? How long do you have to? The nekuda of getting to that particular das, that the das and the emuna get together, is something that when you cleave onto Hashem Yisbarach, when you get it as a gift. And you get it in one shot. You get your new madriga in one fell swoop. Suddenly you get it. It's not like you're expending more, expending less, you're getting more, you're getting less, and this and that. Suddenly you get it. By Hashem Yisbarach. When you pay your dues, when you're mischazik yourself, another step, and another step, and another step, you'll get to the point where suddenly, all of a sudden, Hashem opens things up for you. And you come to the point where, all right, I get it. And it's a lot more meaningful than we would, be apt to think. Because, I went to a doctor about something, and they were not able to help, whatever it is. So I went to somebody who was, who deals with alternative treatments. So when I told the doctor, the doctor told me, I believe in evidence-based medicine. It's just the way this is hogwash, this is poppycock, forget about it. Okay, so I went to this particular therapist, and it worked. Well, okay, that's placebo. That's a placebo effect. Okay. One of the big fictions about medicine is that placebo is not real. Placebo is real. They want to say, listen, placebo helps some people because psychologically they feel they're being helped, so it helps them. But the real medicine works this much. You never realized two things. First of all, that part of the success of the real medicine is also placebo. So you're not 70%. It helps. Let's say placebo is 30%, and your medicine is 70%. That means that from the 70, 30% is also placebo. So you're already 40% without the placebo. Placebo is real medicine. So I didn't ask the doctor. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, and it's not a. Do you know how to work with placebo? Because if you don't know how to work with placebo, you're just a pill pusher. Wars, I think Napoleon said that. The moral to the physical in war is 3-1. In other words, when you're in the zone, when you're on a high, as opposed to being broken down and having the dash and the elan, deserting you in the battle, believing and feeling high and feeling the rush and believing in yourself, to the physical, to the actual weapons you have, is like 3-1. Which means that a tremendous amount of our mental and spiritual well-being depends on, quote unquote, the placebo effect. How much does it shine to us that we're on the right track? Are we going in the right direction? The hardest thing to go through, the biggest nisoyan of the darkness, is the doubt, the lack of clarity, the lack of knowledge. Yeah, you believe basically, this is, but you don't know. When you're convinced, or in other words, when it shines to you, you can go through anything. When a person has a emunah, and the emunah shines to him, he can go through anything. Rabbeinu says in Torah Lamed Daled that the only thing that can break a person's heart, no matter what, is cherpa, is shame. That you can't do. You can't deal with that. Shame shatters a person. It shatters a person's heart. This whole Inyan that we're dealing on in Torah Chafalef is the Koved Eloki, the Koved Hashem, versus the Busha, versus the Klima, the Cherpa. That's the whole Inyan that we have. On one side you have Shiva Simei Mishta, the other side you have Shiva Shavim Avelos. On each every 7 is against the 7, until the 7th one, which is the 70 voices, which we will get to in Mitzvah Hashem. But there's another Nakuda beyond that. I passed the darkness, and it's daylight. Great. There's a deeper Inyan in that. Reb Nosson talks about in Hilchos Kriyat Shema, I think Halacha Aleph, Kutei Halachos. He says that he asks a question: why is it that Kriyat Shema at night, the time is all night long, until Alas Shachar? You can say Kriyat Shema, right? But Kriya Shema of the day is limited to 3 hours, 3 relative hours of the day. At Sholosh Bayom, that's the end of Zman Kriya Shema. Kriyat Shema is an expression of the Yichud. Yichud Kusha B'chu Shchinta, the Yichud of the Das and the Emunah. Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem. Shema Yisrael is the Das, Baruch Shem is the Emunah. They're getting together. This is the Yichud HaElyon. So how come that during the night you can say Krishma the whole night long? It's okay. But during the day, that's a time of clarity. That's a time where everything is you can see, you can understand. The time is limited to the third hour of the day, and that's it. You can't. I mean, you can say Krishma afterwards, but you only have schar, like somebody who's kaya b'Torah. That's it. During the night, Kriyat Shema all night long. During the day until Sholosh Shos. Since the Kriyat Shema is the Yichud, why is that? The answer is exactly that. That at night, which is the time of Emunah, this is the time that in great depth, this is when the Yichud actually takes place. You know, people that are experts in bodybuilding, in fitness, they all tell you that if you want to build your body, if you want to build your endurance, if you want to build your muscles, don't lift weights every single day. Lift weights one day and rest one day. Lift one day and rest one day. What's the sense in that? The sense is that when you are lifting, you are not developing your muscles. What you're actually doing is you're teaching your muscles what kind of effort they need to be able to carry. But the muscles cannot develop during a time of stress. Once you give the muscles the message, you have to be able to lift so much and so much. You have to be able to walk so much and so much and run so much and so much. You have to give it a day of rest in between. Then the muscles grow in accordance, commensurately with the message that you gave them the day before when you trained, when you lifted. The same thing is happening over here. The real message of Yichud Kusha B'Choshu, that happens in the dead of night. This is the Bechinas Levana. This is Bechinas Nekudas Chatzois. Chodesh HaZalachem, as we spoke. You can only see it during the day. The fruits, you can only see during the day. But the real Yichud between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is when you don't see anything. When you don't feel anything. I mean, we're only human and we can't just keep on, we need, as I say, bisschen Kretsch mit Tag mit drinken. Until the end, you have to drink, an ounce of schnapps also every now and then. And other we can't sustain a lifetime of blindness. We need to get a heora. We need to get, something shining to us here and there. But this is just, to grow the muscles. It's important to grow the muscles. But the message, the real yichud, is taking place at night when you don't see. In Torah, Lamed Ches, the Rebbe explains at great length. It brings down from Kisar Arizal that at night when the das goes away, night comes, darkness. This is the time when you enter the realm of Emunah. And the Emunah gets renewed. It gets renewed in preparation for the next day. It doesn't just get renewed in the preparation of the next day, without any context of the day that came before. Because the day that came before has had its illumination, you had your experiences, you had the wisdom that you bought, you had the das that you bought. And now, when you're heading towards the next phase, when the light is taken away, they said that the Malchus parks its moichin, its mental faculty, whatever you got from the day, at a certain point. When we get to Torah Lamachet, we'll talk about it. But at a certain place, and the Zeranpin, which is the das, which is your cognizant das, your awareness, also has a moichin. It also gives them away, puts it in a certain place. The next day, at Yom Chatzos, when you wake up, the Emunah comes as just a dot. You don't see, you don't feel. You're trotting through mud, as it were. But it builds on with the Torah that you're learning, with the things that you do, with the step by step that you're taking. And in the morning, there's the tefillin, there's the aliyah, there's the davening, that's the moichin. Then you get it. It's the day. To the point where Nosson says this is the night is so important. That Kriyat Shema is always about the night. It says, until when can you say Kriyat Shema during the day? Even though the Kriyat Shema carries you all through the day, until 3 hours. Why 3 hours? The Gemara says, because there's still some people in the world who are asleep, who are still sleeping. Who? Bnei Melachim. The children of kings are still sleeping. When do they wake up? They wake up at Shalosh Shores. That's when they wake up. So when nobody is asleep anymore, that's it. When everybody is awake, that's it. No more Kriyat Shema. There's no more Yichud. There's no more giving the message of how much the muscles have to build. Now it's time already to build the muscles. You already got the message. Now it's time to build it. But when it shines to you, when it does shine to you, when suddenly, first of all, you think that you're going to keep on sweating every inch of the way, that you will always have to do this forever, but that's not so. When you have met your quota, as it were, when you're prepared your keli, bam, you get, things open up, light opens up for you. So you understand, Now I get it, why me having to go through all this has enabled me to get to where I am today. And without it, I never would have done it. Each and every one of us, especially Balei Teshuvos, but Bichlal, we can have all these wistful reminiscing. Ah, if only things went my way when I was young. If only I were more popular, or more successful or talented in this and in that. How wonderful it would have been. If only people wouldn't have put me down. If only this, if only that. And suddenly it shines to you. If it wouldn't be the way it was, you wouldn't be where you are. You wouldn't be close to Kodesh Baruch Hu and wanting to get closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu more and more and more all the time. You'd be out there, big Mr. Big. I saw a little clip of a person who is supposedly either the richest man in the world, the second richest man in the world. Okay, and there was a clip of him and his shiksa, and the only thing that went into my mind when I saw this, I couldn't look at it more than a very, very short time. Yeah, how disgusting. What does he have? What does he have? Why is he in this clip? Because he has $100 billion? Would he have been less rich if he had $50 billion, or $20 billion, or $5 billion, or 1 billion, or 100 million, or 50 million, or 10 million, or 5 million? I don't know. One of the people I used to work with years ago, very dear man, Marty Elston, told me, look, you only need this much to live, and this much to get comfortable, and everything else doesn't matter anymore. As a business, and he was very, very wealthy, but he told me it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. If things would have gone the way that my reminiscing goes, I would never be having this Zoom share with you guys. What would have been with me? What would have been with any of us? The fact that we went through a childhood with its own challenges, with its own setbacks, maybe even being a subject to ridicule, much of which we probably brought upon ourselves. We were quote unquote asking for it, literally. That made us sensitive to others, understanding that someone else can feel pain. Everything we went through made us who we are. For years and years and years, we can still argue with our parents. Why did he do this? And why did he do this? And why did she do that? And why did this happen? That happened, whatever it is. And you know what kind of difficult childhood I've had, blah, 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 whatever. If I wouldn't have had the childhood I've had, I wouldn't be who I am. When the sun and the moon get together, suddenly I take a look and I see backwards, not just, all the terrible things that my father did to me or whatever, but what about all the wonderful things he did? You know, what about all the great things I got from him? No, that is obvious. This I take for granted. That I mean, duh, he's my father, right? It's only when you're just in the zone of the moon, you only see that which you lack, or you always lacked. In fact, you identify yourself with the fact that you with your lacks. As Rabbeinu says, I don't listen to any of the sikhs of the world because everything, all the talking in the world, are always talking about that which they lack. Either they're talking about what are lacking, or they're talking about, how the things that you used to lack, and it was fulfilled. That's it. That's all you have to talk about. When the sun shines into it, and you can see both sides, you get a tremendous jolt of chayas. You get a tremendous jolt of a dose of vitamin, basically, to be able to go on. Because when you have digested the lessons that you needed now it's time for you to develop your spiritual muscles one step further. So night is going to fall again, and the das will be taken away. In fact, as we will, Bezrat Hashem, find out next time, uh, Bezrat Hashem, is that the sun and the moon each has its own problems. There are challenges when you know, and there are challenges when you don't know. When they meet together, these things actually come up. That's the seichel of the next step. So, B'ezrat Hashem, we will end here, but I want to thank you for being patient with the technical difficulties in our studio. And B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem should help us. We will meet here on Thursday, with our